Picture a sunny 1970s summer day. No smartphones, no video games, just kids laughing and playing outside until the streetlights flicker on. That boundless freedom to explore, connect, and revel in the open air defined an entire childhood era. Join us on a nostalgic journey back to those golden days. We are rediscovering the simple thrills and adventures of classic games like Kick the Can and Red Rover, games that wove the fabric of lifelong friendships and taught invaluable lessons in teamwork, creativity, and resilience. As we dive into this treasure trove of the past, let's celebrate and perhaps revive the pure, unscripted fun that once filled the great outdoors. Come along and rediscover the joy of simple play that shaped generations. Game 1, Foursquare. Remember Foursquare? All it took was a ball, 4 squares chalked out on pavement, and eager players ready for a challenge. The rules were simple. Bounce the ball into another player's square, trying to outsmart and outplay them so the ball would bounce twice in their square, or they'd miss hitting it back. It was a game where quick thinking and quick reflexes ruled. This game was more than just passing time. It was a battlefield for children, full of strategy and laughter. Who among us hasn't felt the rush of making a perfect play? The ball skimming just at the edge, too swift for your opponent to catch. And the courts, oh, they were vibrant canvases in the schoolyard, marked by the bright colors of chalk that sometimes stained our clothes but always brightened our days. Foursquare brought us together, sharpening our competitive spirits in friendly rivalry. It taught us about victory, about resilience, and yes, even about handling defeat. As we think back to those chalk-marked battlegrounds, let's not just remember the game, but the unspoken bonds it created, standing side by side, square by square. If this stirs up your own memories of playful days, why not bring them into today's world? Share how games like Foursquare shaped your childhood in the comments below, or suggest modern twists to these classics. Let's keep the game alive, one square at a time. Game 2, Red Light, Green Light. Step into the past with Red Light, Green Light, a game where a single player commanded the movement of their peers with the words red light and green light. The thrill was in the chase and the suspense of freezing in place. The setup? Nothing more than an open space and a group of friends ready to dash towards the finish line, or halt at a moment's notice. This game was not just about speed. It was about anticipation and the playful tension of timing your movements perfectly. Every pause and sprint was a test of patience and agility, and getting tagged meant switching roles, giving everyone a chance to lead and strategize. As the caller turned around with a shout of "Red light," hearts raced. Could you stop in time? Would you be the next one to control the game? Each round was a mix of laughter and excited yells, echoing through the air. The simple joy found in these moments reminds us of a time when all we needed was a backyard and our friends to create an afternoon full of adventure. Red light, green light brings us back to those carefree days, encouraging us to think about how such straightforward games can still play a role in teaching today's kids about patience, judgment, and the sheer fun of playing outside. Game 3, Red Rover. Red Rover, Red Rover, send someone right over. This chant once echoed across playgrounds, calling players to charge towards a line of linked hands, hoping to break through. In Red Rover, 2 teams formed lines opposite each other, hands clasped tight, as they called out to a player on the opposite team to run and break through their barrier. The game was a thrilling blend of strategy and strength. Players chose who to call over based on their perception of the other team's vulnerabilities, and the runner had to decide where to aim their efforts. It was about anticipation, teamwork, and the physical challenge of holding strong or breaking through. However, concerns over safety have seen Red Rover's popularity wane. The physical nature of the game led many to reconsider its suitability for children, with schools increasingly sidelining it in favor of less contact-intensive activities. What do you think? Could a modern, safer version of Red Rover find a place in today's playgrounds? Perhaps with rules adjusted to reduce the impact while preserving the strategy and fun that made it a childhood staple. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's discuss how classic games like this can be adapted for the next generation of players. Game 4, Kick the Can. Imagine the streets at dusk, kids gathering as the sky turns a soft shade of twilight. This was the prime setting for Kick the Can, a classic game that was part hide and seek, part tag, and all excitement. At the center of it all, just an old can placed in an open space, waiting to be kicked. Players would hide as it counted, then dashed to kick the can before being tagged. This game was more than just running and hiding. It was a test of cunning and bravery, a challenge that required strategy and speed in equal measure. Kick the Can was also a builder of communities. As the evening wore on, laughter and shouts filled the air, pulling more kids into the game. It taught us teamwork, as we often had to collaborate to distract it, or free captured friends, and reinforced the value of inclusion. Everyone had a role to play. Think about the last time you saw a game like Kick the Can in action. Do games today offer the same level of community interaction? Or could we learn something from these simple pleasures of the past? Share your thoughts below, and let's consider how bringing back such games might benefit our neighborhoods and social skills today. Game 5, Hopscotch. Let's chalk up the next game on our list, Hopscotch, a playground favorite that turned sidewalks into canvases and simple stones into tools of sport and skill. This game, which traces a grid on the ground, invites players to throw a stone into a numbered square and then hop through the squares on one foot to retrieve it. Hopscotch was more than a test of balance and coordination. It was a canvas for creativity. Each neighborhood might have had its own version of the grid, some simple and others wildly complex. The game fostered a playful balance of precision and agility, encouraging kids to improve their physical dexterity while having fun. The simplicity of Hopscotch made it accessible to everyone, enhancing its role as a communal activity. It wasn't just about hopping correctly, but also about waiting your turn, watching others, and cheering them on. This built a supportive environment, teaching children about fair play and sportsmanship. How do you remember playing Hopscotch? Were there unique rules or designs in your neighborhood? Drop a comment below, and let's reminisce about the creative ways we played and the friendships those games helped forge. Game 6, Stickball. Rewind to the bustling streets of the 1970s, where the echoes of a bouncing rubber ball and shouts of "play ball" bring us to our next game, Stickball. A close cousin of baseball, but stripped down to its streetwise essentials, Stickball required just a broom handle and a rubber ball, transforming city streets into makeshift diamonds. Stickball wasn't just a game. It was a community event that brought the neighborhood together. Without formal fields or equipment, kids made do with what they had, marking bases with discarded objects, and sometimes using manhole covers as home plate. This game taught resourcefulness and resilience, reflecting the ingenuity of those who played it. More than athleticism, Stickball built a sense of belonging and camaraderie among players. It was about making new friends, settling scores, and learning to play fair under the watchful eyes of the community. Reflect on how games like Stickball can inspire today's youth to be more inventive and socially interactive. Game 7, Scully. Cap off our journey through forgotten games with Scully, a street game that turned ordinary bottle caps into prized game pieces. Sketched on the asphalt with chalk, Scully boards consisted of a series of numbered boxes where players flicked their caps, aiming to navigate the course from start to finish. Scully was more than just a game of aim. It was an exercise in precision and patience. Each flick was a calculated move, teaching players about angles and strategy, under the guise of simple play. The rules were straightforward, but mastering the game could take a whole summer of practice, turning each player into a tactician on their knees. As the sun set on neighborhood streets, Scully brought kids together for hours of focused fun, where laughter and friendly competition were the day's main events. It fostered a sense of accomplishment, as mastering the Scully board meant outsmarting and outplaying your friends in a friendly rivalry. Do you remember gathering caps and drawing boards for a game of Scully? Or perhaps you had a similar game in your neighborhood that brought everyone together. Taking a trip down memory lane to the 1970s has reminded us how outdoor games crafted more than just fun. They built agility, strategy, and social bonds. Bringing these games back could reignite the same spirit of freedom and joy in today's screen-focused kids. Loved revisiting these classics? Hit like, subscribe, and share your favorite old-school game or memory in the comments. Let's spark a movement to bring back the joy of simple outdoor play. Next time, we're jumping into the 1980s. Think arcade classics and epic backyard battles. Subscribe so you don't miss out on reliving the adventure.